Hello everyone and welcome to this two-part tutorial series on how to trade with VEMA Trader. In this video, we'll be having a look at how to visualize, execute, and monitor your trades inside of VEMA Trader. In the next video, we'll be looking at how to analyze your data and certain things that you could be journaling in your trade journal. First thing you see when you log into VEMA Trader is your dashboard screen. Along the main top area here, we can see that there are days when this account is profitable and there are more days when the account is not profitable and has little red bars showing losses. As a cool thing about trading is that you don't need to be right 100% of the time. In fact, you can see here, there's more red than green. It is all about your risk management, and VEMA puts a lot of focus onto your risk management. If we look down a little further, scrolling down, we can see the Your Trades area. In here, we can see the status of our current positions that are open or trades that have closed and are awaiting our attention. So to set up trades, we want to come into the top right hand corner and go to Start Charting. I'll click on that one, and I am now on the Start Charting screen where I'm connected to OKX, currently looking at Bitcoin's price on OKX. If we wanted to switch to a different exchange, then we can click on Exchange and switch over to whatever we'd like to do. And now over on the symbols area on the left hand side, you might want to be trading a lot of a Cardano. Well, Cardano's already in my list. You know what? Let's go down and scroll something. Instead of you having to scroll down here and then constantly trying to find Doge for you to trade, you can mouse over the Add to Favorites button, and this will add the star onto it, and now it'll always be showing near the top for you in your symbols list. But I'm not going to trade Doge. I'm going to trade some Bitcoin today. There are two styles of entering trades inside of VEMA Trader. There is the trigger entry, where we can wait for price action to come to us before we take an entry, or maybe we're looking at something on the chart right now and we go, there's an opportunity, I want to take that right now. And we'd use the quick entry strategy for this. First off, let's check out the quick entry, and then we'll go and check out the triggers. So in the quick entry screen, all we need to do is choose if we're paper trading or live. This is a demo account, so it's paper trading. I'm going to switch my direction to short. A cool thing about VEMA Trader is that it has full documentation of every single feature. Mouse over any single input on the trade panel on the left-hand side, and this little pop-up will pop up telling you what this input does and what it controls. You can also go to the Learn More button for every single input, and this will take you to a short video on our support page explaining exactly what it is, how it works, and situations that you could use it in. All right, now that I've chosen my direction, the risk management panel on the left-hand side has become populated. Here it's already defaulting itself to risk 1% of my account, and I've got here a minimum risk to reward of 3 to 1. We could go ahead and type in values for the stop loss and the take profits, but you know what's easier? Just playing with it over on the chart. And because this is a short, I'm going to just grab my stop loss, drag it down to where I want it, and my take profit looks like it could be brought up a little higher, and that looks like a pretty good trade. Yeah, cool. So this one here is now set up for a 4.09 to 1 trade. But how big is the position size, and how much am I going to win and lose if my take profit or my stop loss was to be hit? A very handy feature of VEMA is that this automatically gets calculated for you. In the risk management panel, we can scroll down to the estimate section, and we can see that VEMA is automatically determining it'll need a position size of 25 and 30x leverage to handle this particular trade. Now, behind the scenes, VEMA is using, for paper trading, a $10,000 USDT account. If you're live trading, then all this following math will be taken care of based on your actual live account size. But for the sake of this one, we're going to be basing it off the $10,000 paper trading account. And because we had our account risk percent as 1%, if our stop loss was to be hit, we would be looking to lose 1% of our account. And we can see here, this is the on loss P&L with fees included. It's very close to $100. Hey, it's not 100 exactly because the fees are going to be different based on the position sizing. But if I was to say, you know what, I don't want my stop loss there. I think that my stop loss should be a little further away. Let's keep it above that lovely big red candle that has just happened, recently happened. And now when I move my stop loss over there, you can see that updates the risk reward, it updates the position size and the leverage, updates the fees, and the P&L is now updated as well. So all of this is happening automatically for us, which is just super mega handy. You'll also notice that the risk reward here says 2.47 to 1, while the risk reward with fees taken out of it says 2.34. A very handy thing to know as a scalper is what's my risk reward going to be after fees are taken out of a trade. So as a scalper, maybe I want to give my stop loss a super duper ultra tight stop loss, but it gives me a mad looking risk to reward, like a 46 to 1. Wow, what an amazing trade. 50 to 1, fantastic. But look at what happens there. The risk reward with fees taken out of it is going to have a big impact on my risk reward outcome for this trade. So be aware of that one, but very handy that VEMA's automatically calculating all of this for us on the fly. We don't have to think about it. All we have to do as traders is focus on our technical analysis. For me personally, that risk reward is as sexy as it is the stop loss is far too close. So I'm going to move it further back away over here. And I'll be happy with my 3.7 to 1. Now you might be thinking, I don't want a single take profit. I want to have multiple take profits. Up here in the take profit button, we can click on add. I'm going to click on that twice. And then that'll add 2 more take profits onto the chart. I can move them all into positions wherever I'd like them to go. Let's go there, there, and there. The next thing we want to do is determine how much of the position each take profit should be handling. We can click on split evenly, which will switch everything over to take 33% off each individual take profit. Super handy, and the risk reward will update itself accordingly. Or we could say when the first take profit is hit, I would like to take 50% of the position off the table. When the second take profit is hit, I'd like to take 25% off the table. And you'll see up here in the top that it says, hey, hang on, you're still over your mark. You've got 8% over allocated. So I'll just drag that to 25. And now with 100% of the position allocated for take profits, I am clear to go ahead and press enter now. When I click enter now, this will enter the position. It'll set up the stop loss on the exchange. It'll set up the take profits on the exchange. Then it'll enter the position. That way, if anything goes wrong, your orders are always in place on the exchange. Let's enter that trade for the fun of it. With that, I now have a trade that is placed. If this was a live trade, then it would be on the exchange ready to go, but this is a paper trading account. So that was a quick entry setup, but maybe I don't want to enter a short right now. Maybe I want to wait for some extra confirmation before I go ahead and open a position. What I'm going to do for that is I'll come back over to the start charting screen, and I am still on OKX looking at Bitcoin. Let's switch ourselves over to the 1 hour chart. Zoom in a little further onto price here. I'll click on the trigger as my entry method this time. When I click on add trigger here, you'll see it's going to automatically activate the line drawing tool inside of TradingView for me. I'm seeing a bit of an uptrend here, so let's go ahead and draw an uptrend from there to there. And you know what? Let's treat this as also as an ascending triangle as well. So I can come to my triggers here and I can add in another trigger, click on here, and I want it to be pretty straight over here. I want that to be perfect, so I can hold shift and that'll give me a straight line. Probably noticed that I've got my trigger lines set to draw infinitely to the left and right. I'm a fan of that. Maybe you're not. And so to turn that off, go ahead and double click on a line and go to style, and then you can get rid of the extend left and the extend right. And now it's going to only draw the areas you'd like it to go for. All right, so I see 2 scenarios playing out for this ascending triangle. I see one where we could get a break of our resistance and price can go long. I also see that we could get a break of our alpha and then I want to go short. And so I want to set up both trades inside of VEMA Trader here, and that is very easy to do. With my alpha and bravo lines in place, I can now go ahead and set up a trade. I'm going to come to the setups area and let's go add. I'll choose my trigger as the alpha line and I'll choose a direction of short and my strategy will be cross. Now what's happening here is as soon as price gets below that alpha trigger, VEMA is going to go ahead and take a position. So what's interesting about this setup is that when is VEMA going to take the entry? Well, when is price going to get below the alpha trigger? We don't know when that's going to happen. So we'll put our stop loss up here above resistance, and we'll take our take profit down a little further just for this example. And now let's zoom in on this chart again. Use the auto to resync that to make the zoomage of the chart be the same. There we go. So when's the actual entry of this trade going to happen? It could be here. It could be here. It could be over here. It depends when price actually gets below the alpha trigger. Now, there has been times when doing that would have actually been very bad for us. Like if we had this alpha trigger set up in the past and all it was wait for price to get below the alpha trigger, we would have been wicked into a trade, and that would have got us the entry and then gone ahead and hit our stop loss. That's not fun. No one wants to have their stop loss hit. So to combat this inside of VEMA, we can add a condition of operate on candle close. This says that price needs to get below alpha, and if it wicks down and comes back up, VEMA's not going to take the entry. Price needs to come down and get a close of the candle below the alpha, which gives us more confidence that this uptrend, short-term uptrend, has been broken, which will then take the entry. So that actually means that we've got a dynamic entry price, and we know that the risk management, the position sizing, and the leverage is driven by where our stop loss placement is. Well, that means that VEMA is going to go ahead and calculate the position size for us if entry happens at this point. Or if entry happens over at this point here in future, then VEMA is going to go ahead and recalculate that position size and leverage for us. So wonderful, our risk management is automatically taken care of us thanks to VEMA Trader. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. The other thing we can do is, I'll just undo a lot of these drawings that I've added onto the chart. Here we go. If we don't get a close below alpha, our alpha trigger, by the end of this triangle, I want this trade to go ahead and terminate itself. So I can come to my add conditions area. I can choose an expiry date here. Now that adds an expiry date over onto the left-hand panel. I could go ahead and click on this and enter some time and date fields if I wanted to. It's just easy to drag it on the chart though. So come and grab the selection tool in the top left-hand corner of the chart and just drag that expiry date over here. Ta-da, it's updated in the left-hand panel. Super simple, super easy to use. Now if we don't get a close below alpha, then we will not get a trade. If we don't get a close below alpha by the end of the ascending triangle, we'll also go ahead and kill this trade as well. Very wonderful to work with. Now for this video, I am not going to be journaling, though we all know we should be as traders. That'll come in the second video in this series. I'll click on add, and the second trade I want to be ready for is, what if the triangle here breaks to the upside? What if we get a really good long opportunity? Well, I can come into my setups again, and I can choose trigger, and I can choose the Bravo line. I can go direction long, and I can choose the different strategy being the break and retest strategy. Now that has added onto the chart this lovely blue line showing that we need price to break above Bravo, and we needed to come back down and retest the line before we take the entry, giving us that extra confidence that resistance has now turned into support. So I can drag my stop loss into position. Because I would have had a break and a retest by this point, I'm kind of confident bringing my stop loss a lot tighter than I would usually have it if I was taking a cross. Now, while my risk to reward on this looks pretty great with the 7.2, let's assume that that's a great stop loss placement for this example. I can add a few more extra pieces in here to give me more confidence of this trade playing out the way that I want it to. My distance to break is how far above the Bravo, above resistance, does price need to get before we consider this resistance level broken. Now, note that it needs to have a candle close. So we will measure the break with a candle close on the chosen time frame, in this case 1 hour. If you set to 4 hour, it's going to be a 4 hour close. As I change my distance to break, let's make this a distance to break of 1%. You'll see that that visual indicator, that visual line says you need to get a break all the way up here before we get a retest. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. So I'm going to bring that one kind of close to like let's go 0.2, 0.1, give me an idea that it's broken. I'm going to go 0.2. The next one we've got here is the distance to activate. This is how close does price have to come to our trigger before we consider the position should open. Now, this is to combat the idea that price comes really close and just doesn't quite touch it, and then you miss your entry because price didn't hit your order. You can consider this one the close enough is good enough condition. I'm going to set this to 0.5. Now, pay attention to this indicative risk over here as I put in 0.5. You'll see that it jumps up just a little bit. Wow, it was pretty massive, wasn't it? 0.5 went big. 0.05. There we go. It listed itself a little bit. Just so it looks prettier with the retests on the line, we'll go ahead and put it to 0.8. Now that's saying price has to get above our Bravo and then come back to our resistance that is now support. But you know what? What if price goes up and then just smashes its way back down? Bugger, we had a fake out. I don't want to get pulled into a trade for that. What I can do for this is I can come to the conditions area on the left-hand side. I can bring in a distance to confirm. This one here says price must go up, get the break, must come and retest as close as you'd like it to be with your distance to activate, and then we need to see some bullish action before we'll take the entry itself. How far that bullish action needs to be is entirely up to you, but for this example, I'm thinking we might put that to 0.3%. There we go. And the visual indicator has now popped up a little further to show we must get the break. The retest is close enough, is good enough with our distance to activate before price comes back up to hit our actual entry. Now, with all that, that means our entry price is going to be adjusted, which means our risk reward based on our stop loss placement is going to be adjusted. And suddenly this trade doesn't look very good as a 1.6 to 1, assuming we wanted our stop loss and our take profit there. So I'm just going to go ahead and drag the take profit higher. For any real trade, you would actually want to look left, zoom out and see where are my take profit targets going to be. But for the sake of this example, showing how to use VEMA, I'm okay with this. All right, so the next thing we can do is come to our add conditions, bring on an expiry date, just like we did for our cross strategy of alpha, the short earlier. But there's an extra thing we can do here. What if price comes up and just smashes right back through? It never retested, it just fell straight down. We don't want price to then come from down here a couple of days later and smash its way back up again. And oh, now we're in a break and retest trade that was more of a break and that's not really a retest. Well, why? How come I'm in this trade? We don't want that scenario to happen. So I can get rid of all of these bits and pieces. Whoop, put that back over there. Move it into the future, and I can add a condition here for a distance to invalidate. This one's really, really handy. It says if price comes up above our Bravo line and then it goes back to retest our Bravo line, but it didn't retest, it just smashed its way back through. You know what? We should just cancel this trade. It was not a retest, it was a failed breakout. It was a failed breakout, a fake out. And so it's up to you where you want to put this for how far is far enough for it to be considered invalidated. Like a little wick down, maybe to there, 0.7% is not too bad. And I'll allow that. But if it was to come back down here to maybe 0.2%, then I'd be considering that as not a retest. So I'm going to set that to 0.2%. There's another thing we can do with VEMA here. Let's pretend that our take profit was all the way down here and we just set up this trade and we walked away and thought it was all hunky-dory. But my trade plan says that I should only take trades that are at least a 3-to-1 setup. But this trade here has been set up as a 2.19. In my risk management section here, I've got my minimum risk to reward to 3. If VEMA goes ahead and gets the entry for this and it doesn't meet my minimum risk to reward for whatever reason, then VEMA is going to say, sorry, this trade did not meet your minimum risk to reward and I will not take the entry because it doesn't suit your trade plan conditions. So VEMA's got a whole bunch of features that it's going to use to keep you out of the market from trades that you shouldn't be in while making sure your ideal setup is actually met correctly. Wonderful stuff, wonderful stuff. I'll come and I'll add this trade and I can submit this. Now I've got I'm ready for a short if we break to the downside and I'm ready for a long if we break to the upside. Submit on these trades, confirm, and this is going to take us back to our dashboard screen. Here we go. On the dashboard screen, scrolling down to the Your Trade section, we can see the two trades that we did set up. We set up the cross short and the break and retest long. We've also got the Bitcoin quick entry short that we had set up just before. Now, looking at the risk reward column, we can see the status of these trades. This one here has closed and it closed in profit, hooray. This one here closed very slightly in profit, hooray. This one here says I've been triggered as an alert, but you need to come and look at me and tell me if I should enter or not. This one, we moved our stop loss and then our stop loss got hit, bugger. This one hit our stop loss, but this one here, it's got a light green and a light red. This one tells us that our position is currently open. These blue ones tell us these have not actually got their entry yet. And so we can just, hey, they're not in position. Maybe we want to come and look at them and see where price is up to and if it's going to meet our entry conditions or not. So far, we've covered how to visualize our trades, how to get our trades ready to execute. Now let's monitor our trades. On this Bitcoin trade that we've already have in the position open state, I'm going to click on the symbol name. We've also got the view link over on the right-hand side. That'll take us to the actual trade itself. I'm going to click on auto in the bottom right-hand corner and zoom out so I can see more of the chart and the price action. Let's just pretend for this example that price had moved much further in our favor. I can grab my stop loss and I can pull it down closer to my entry. I can move it into take profit if price was past my profit, and it will tell me, hey, this is going to update your stop loss, and I can say confirm. Now my stop loss has been updated. You'll see we've always got the initial stop loss showing on here. That is where my 1% account risk was set up as. And because that's where my account risk was set, which drives the position size and the leverage, if I grab that stop loss and I try to move it beyond the initial stop loss, that would be increasing my risk on the trade. So VEMA is going to say, nah, mate, you can't do that. That would give you a stop loss higher than the initial stop loss, which is really risking more money than you would like to have done anyway. I can grab those take profits and move them around. That will go ahead and tell me the current risk to reward is 3.9. By moving this, you're going to increase it to a 4.3. Go ahead and move these things around all you'd like. Once price has moved beyond your entry, you'll be able to grab that stop loss and move it down into a profitable spot. If I try to do that right now though, this trade hasn't really gone into profit yet, so I'll move my stop loss and it's going to say, hey, you can't move your stop loss lower than the current price. That would just close the trade. I'm just going to grab that stop loss and move it back closer to my initial stop loss. There we go. If at any point you decide, you know what, I want to get out of this trade, you can go ahead and click on close position here. Easy done. And that will get you out of the trade straight away. If this is a live trade, it'll close the position and clean up all of the orders on the exchange as well. All right, so there's a run through on how to trade with VEMA Trader. Join me for the next video when we will cover how to analyze your data and some things to consider when you journal your trades. See you there.